Hello and welcome to another Wannabe Entrepreneur. Today I have another interview, a quite exciting one. I have Michael and Anjali here. Hello guys, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Very good, very good. I'm super excited
Me
to to have this conversation with you. And we met at Trivago, and surprise, most of my interviewees are from Trivago. Actually, lately I've been changing a little bit, but it's good to be back to the Trivago people. And we worked there. We actually never quite worked together, I think, but we hanged out and spoke a lot back then.
Yeah.
And I think even before me, you both of you quit your job to follow your dream. We'll be talking about this journey in this episode. But first of all, I would like to ask for you to introduce yourself. So maybe Anjali can start and then Michael can follow.
Perfect.
That's okay?
Yeah. So I'm Anjali. I'm from India. I'm 28 years old. And I moved to Germany in 2017 to work for Trivago as a product manager, where I met Michael. And then we started this journey.
Yeah, and I'm Michael. I'm also 28 years old. I worked until December in Trivago as a front-end engineer. Also, the couple last years were just working in front-end engineering. And yeah, since January, we are both on the road in our camper van.
And Anjali, what's your background?
That's funny because I studied computer science and mathematics. But I think I probably never worked as a software engineer.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I started as actually like a data/product analyst in a startup. And there I switched to a PM role and then continued my journey there.
Yeah, because at Trivago, you're doing PM, right? Project management. I didn't know that you have this background too. So you are both trained developers.
I wouldn't call myself, but...
Cool. I don't know where to start here. It's such a crazy journey. To be honest, I have interviewed already a couple of people, all of them with crazy journeys, but I think that yours is probably the craziest that I interviewed so far. So I know that your project is called Project Catamaran.
Yeah.
Catamaran?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Catamaran. And your main goal is to live in a catamaran, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask, is this like both of you have this goal? Like who started with this idea of living in the boat and why?
Oh yeah, that's a good question actually. Maybe it's a bit chaotic journey, I have to say also. So for a couple of years, we already have this kind of dream of living on a boat. But it was also never so real.
First of all, when we met in the beginning, Michael always loved to carve things out of wood. So at home also we had furniture which he made. And he talked about that he wanted to build a boat with wood.
Oh yeah, but that's a long time ago.
So At this time we were not thinking of living in a boat, but I think it always was there because he used to talk about when we went for walks to the Rhine that look at that boat. I also one day want to build a boat. I was like, okay.
Build a boat, okay.
Yeah. The boat was somewhere in the background. I think then we were also watching a lot of YouTube channels where people were sailing basically. And I think one particular one, which was Sailing Le Vagabond.
Right.
Somehow, they caught us. And it wasn't just seeing them that we wanted to do it, but I think in general, we were always a bit adventurous and we were traveling a lot and we just figured out that that's kind of a lifestyle which we could enjoy. Right. And then slowly we started obviously getting recommended from YouTube, other sailing channels, and then we started getting into this whole thing. And at some point, we also watched some YouTubers which were talking about emission-free catamarans. Or boats, sailing boats, basically, where Ocean Volt is coming with engines, where you could, while sailing, charge batteries. And then the whole combination of, combining this adventure part and sustainability that just, somehow wrapped around this idea of, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So, it developed quite over time, we have to say.
So true.
It was also like that in the beginning, it's not real, you don't really think about it, you maybe dream a bit about it, but at some point you just come to this moment where you say like, hey, what is it actually if we would pursue this dream of maybe living one day on the boat.
Yeah.
So, and then we just thought like, okay, Project Catamaran, and there's catamaran, the word is in it. And it's kind of like just this project which we say, hey, that's our journey to, try to achieve this goal. And we don't say that, we will for sure achieve it or whatever, but we are trying it and we want to document it.
Crazy story. Really interesting. Inspired by YouTube, right? Like many of us. Maybe to give a little bit of context to our listeners, you are at the moment living in a van, right? You're living the van life. You have a couple of social media projects. You have a YouTube channel. You have a TikTok. You have Instagram and other side projects that we'll be talking about. And where are you at the moment? Which place?
We're in Sardinia, Italy.
Italy. Wow. Okay. And I know that you were in Spain before, so you traveled quite a bit. So that's kind of the status. This is for the listeners. And we are going to talk about how you reach this point and what are your goals next. But let's start with the beginning, with the decision to quit your jobs, both of you, to quit your jobs and get a van. Well, I guess you already had the van back then before quitting the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was also a long, funny project, I think.
So tell me about it.
Yeah, I think actually we started the conversion 1 year before we left our jobs.
It was 2019. April.
Yeah. So I think in 2019, actually already it started also that we kind of like, we started to convert the van, and this whole dream of being a bit more adventurous actually started with building actually this van. In the beginning, we were also not sure if we would live full time in it. But while we were converting in the van, we at some point realized like, hey, what if we just at some point quit our jobs, leave the flat behind and everything, and just move full time into it?
But that wasn't the idea when you first bought the van, right?
Yeah, somehow not.
No.
Oh.
I think there's something with us. We don't plan.
Okay.
There are pros and cons, but we didn't plan. I mean, it actually, how it started was that we wanted first to get summer gardens in Germany because, we wanted to do wood projects because Michael enjoyed it. And then I also got into it. And then we didn't find it in Düsseldorf. There were like 5 years waiting lines. And then we were just like always watching, obviously, van life content. And then we were just like, why not just, transforming something into a home by working on wood. So then we started looking into van, but obviously we didn't plan again. So we didn't know what should be the budget, how much should the van cost. And there were quite, let's say, ups and downs in terms of, okay, one day we wanted, the other day we were like, no, we don't know if we would be able to do it. But then suddenly one day we found a van in Bielefeld and we just drove 2 hours. And that day we were like, okay, let's just buy it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was also one of our biggest mistakes, to be honest. We just bought the van on this day, and we didn't realize how much we have to repair this old van. And
yeah, we were naive.
We were in the beginning also quite naive, but I think that was also kind of our engine a bit to get to this point right now, because we were not planning, and we were just doing them things. No?
And how much did the van cost?
So at this time, 5,900.
Oh, okay. It's cheap van.
Yeah, we should have questioned that. But in the end, we ended up spending quite a lot, right? A few €1,000 just to get it repaired and in shape.
Right. And then for a year, you worked in repairing the van and transforming it into a home.
Yeah. So initially, actually, we planned that we would maybe need 2 months to convert this van.
Again, no.
And then we ended up of like doing it over 1.5 years actually.
So we were also not working, day and night on it. So sometimes just after office, 1 hour we would work. In the winters, we didn't work a lot. Then we even didn't work in the middle for 2 months at all on it. So that's why it was 1.5 years.
Yeah, of course. And when this idea of quitting your jobs and leaving your van started to pop up in your heads, who came up with it?
That's a funny thing. we also talked about this some month ago, because we cannot remember the moment where we really made the decision of moving into it, or who came up first with the idea.
as Michael said also in the beginning, you don't feel that the idea is real, also with the boat. It's just like, okay, you dream of it, but just while doing it, somehow we fell into it kind of.
What were your preparations? So what was in your mind when you're preparing to quit your jobs?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that if you want to do something like this, quitting your job, you need kind of a bit of
financial stability.
Yeah. So in terms of, so we realized that like kind of 1 year before that, and also before, we were saving because we were preparing for this moment that, okay, you can do it, and then you would survive for a while without having directly an income from day one. So that was one major point for us. And also we were planning that if you're living in the van, you actually you can reduce the cost quite a lot.
Right.
But in the beginning, we also thought that we would keep the flat, right? So we were thinking that maybe for the first 3 months, we still keep the flat and then see if we like it or not. But in the end...
you just realize that these are costs which you actually can't afford anymore. You cannot just have a flat just as a backup. Because I was in the beginning like, oh my God, what is if we don't like it at all? We haven't spent time like a month in the van or something, and we are just deciding to move into it. So I wanted to keep the flat in the beginning, but then also we realized that no, we have to actually give it. And if we want to go back into the flat, then find a new one.
You looked at your savings and then you somehow calculated how much you were going to spend per month, right?
Exactly.
And then with that, you calculated how much time you could go without getting any income, right?
Yeah.
By this time, we didn't plan it that well.
You didn't plan this well. So you didn't know what was your runway?
Yeah. So roughly, we thought that we would have around 1.5 year.
Okay.
So roughly, but we didn't plan, okay, this much fuel, this food, this is the cost of living in a van. We knew roughly, but
in the end, it's also like there are so many surprises on the way. Right. So we were also saying that, if we run out, then we can maybe do some freelancing on the way also.
Right. And of course that you also already had in mind that you wanted to make money with social media and maybe some other investing or some other projects, right? This was already in your mind?
They were never really fixed plans, to be frank. I mean, we wanted to explore YouTube because that was exciting, especially because we were consuming so much content from YouTube.
Of course, yeah.
But it was never sure what kind of content we wanted to make. Moreover, one thing which we actually wanted to do after leaving the job was to open ourselves to start looking for opportunities, because when we were still working for Trivago, there were always some ideas. We were like, you know what, you could just build this app, or we were even trading a bit just manually. And we were talking about what if you just automate it. And there were so many ideas that we just talked about randomly. We never had the time. So we also wanted to keep this time to just explore what opportunities are there, where do we see that we could find a solution and work on them.
I fully understand what you mean, because when you're working for someone else and then you keep on having so many ideas that you don't have time to act on, this concept of quitting your job and focus 100% in your ideas, it's very, exciting. So I guess that's a little bit also what you try to follow there. It's really great also that you both have the same mindset. Tell me one thing, what about your families? Do they have the same mindset or did they freak out?
Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, I can start also with my family. I mean, so from my side, they were always quite supportive for these ideas. There was not much resistance, but what is also always funny is that I think it's sometimes hard to really believe that you will do it in the end,
Yeah.
Because at some point you start talking about it and it's like, oh yeah, it's a cool idea and all. But if you're coming closer to this moment of saying like, now we will both quit our jobs, then it's like, hey, do you really want to do that? You have a quite stable situation, and and then these kind of concerns also come up, which I also understand, but it's I think they were not believing it until the day and actually that we said that we will do it.
And for you, Anjali? They still don't know.
No, they know. I mean, it is also a bit of a background that I come from India, and it isn't that common. So I have generally found a way in life to tell them really at the last moment. We were planning it already for long, but I just told, I think, a week before we put our papers, or I think I didn't even tell that we put papers. It was the last week or last 2 weeks of Trivago. And I mean, at first, it's obvious that they weren't very supportive because you have a job
Yeah,
and
definitely.
why would you do that, So in the beginning, it was hard. And I mean, slowly, I think they were fine with it. I sometimes still hear, that for example, in May, when we were planning to go to Germany, my parents were like, okay, so now you will start looking for jobs, right? And I said, Dad, we are just going for 3 weeks.
Do they understand that this is how you want to live your life, or do they think it's like, okay, this is a phase, this is like holiday, Do they understand it?
I don't think so.
It's very hard to understand, to be honest. Like, even for my family, and even for me, even for myself, to understand that this is going to be my life and that I want to be like an entrepreneur, and live the entrepreneur lifestyle. It's so vague that I think it's super hard to convince people, like, to wrap your head around it, actually.
I agree. I mean, so in my case, they say that the younger one always has advantage because maybe the elder one did it. And in my case, luckily it happened that my sister also, they have their own company. So for 1 year, obviously they were also struggling to establish something.
So Anjali, you have some inspiration, some mentors, some other people in your family that are also entrepreneurs. What about you, Michael?
Entrepreneurs? Yeah, I mean, the sister of my brother, she is also running her own company. I mean, there's definitely also some inspiration to just do it and do your own thing. But also to the aspect what you said about, is it just a holiday or not? I think, so in my family, there's also often like a lot of jokes because now, you can imagine we are going with a van and then you're sending nice pictures because you're standing on some cliff and there's the sunset and all. And for them, it's like, oh yeah, you have such a nice year of holidays.
Yes, yeah.
And you don't show actually that the whole day you were actually working on something.
Yeah.
And I think there's also I think in our case, there's quite a bit of a confusion because to the outside, it looks like, yeah, you are just traveling around and enjoying life.
And especially not having a job per se, like I'm not working for a company, it's very hard to convince people and even to convince myself sometimes that this is what I want to do. Cool, but okay, so now I understand the context, I understand everything. You got in a van and you decided to go to, was it? Where did you go? Spain? Tenerife, right? Yeah. So you said that you started many projects. Maybe just walk me through, like, which projects did you start? Maybe better, let's start only with YouTube for now. You got inspired by other content creators and you start vlogging, right?
Yeah.
How did this process go? How did you set up the camera? Like, tell me everything from the start. Your first video, how did it go?
The first video is quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so how did we set it up? I mean, I had a bit of background of filming, so I had a camera also from before. Yeah, we were just filming some things and we had also not much of a plan. We were just, as you said, also documenting it a bit, the process of how we actually converting the van. So I think the first video was how we painted the wood in the van.
Okay. Did it get a lot of attention when you released? Did you get a lot of views?
No, not at all. But 300 views in the beginning or something. Yeah, it was not much. And over the months after the first video, we were also just from time to time making another video about the conversion, how we convert the van. And they all didn't get much traction until we then also saw that a lot of people do these van tour videos where they show just around the van. So
right.
They are quite long videos, like maybe around 20 minutes, and you just show all the details of your van. And we thought like, yeah, why not doing also a van tour video? And this one was then the first one which really got traction and brought us then also over the 1,000 subscriber limit.
Wow. So how many subscribers did you get from one video?
This video alone. So I think before that we were sitting somewhere around 400 subscribers. And after this video went viral, we were definitely above the 1,200 mark,
wow.
1,200 mark. That's when we could apply for the partner program.
And how did it went viral? Did you like share it somewhere or like you just publish it and suddenly it got traction?
Yeah, the thing is, these videos in general are very popular because people are interested in tiny homes and van tours. So this particular video, we also knew from checking other van life accounts that they probably had 20K, 30K views for other videos, but this one suddenly has 500K, so you can do a bit of research that's a video that people maybe are not interested in what you're doing generally in your life, but they want to see what did you make out of this thing.
Yeah, that's a great tip here for other YouTubers that are listening to this. Go to similar channels and check which videos work the best for other more mature channels that are in the same genre as yours, and just copy it. That's a great idea.
So we kind of used it to kickstart a bit the subscribers. But as you ask also, like, did it directly get traction? Actually not. It was like the first 1 or 2 weeks, we were a bit surprised. We were just 1,000 views or something. And yeah, it's you have to deal also with a lot of emotion. You put a lot of effort into it, and then things do not work out, like maybe as you expected. But then after 2 weeks, suddenly we got a lot of traction on the video. And
it's weird. A YouTube algorithm or something kicks in.
Yeah, because people also say like, it's super important that the first 1-2 days, how much interaction you get and all. But in our case, we also saw that often these things are just different. Yeah, like suddenly YouTube picks it up and then it goes.
And walk me through these emotions that you just mentioned. So you share your video, the video that is supposed to, take you to the top. And then for the first week or so, you don't get any or that many views. How do you react?
I mean, especially I remember after this video, when we published this one, it was a bit of a weird feeling because you have so much expectation. You think like, okay, this will get a lot of traction. Yeah. And then for a first time, it doesn't get traction. And, you also do not get feedback or something much on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you'd rather get feedback. I remember some people say, cool video, but was it not a bit long? And you were betting on this fact. Yeah, we make it a bit longer because people want to see the details.
Exactly.
So you get rather these kind of opposite feedback, and you think like, you feel a bit like, you just question, hey, what did we do wrong? I remember we were talking like, was it good or not?
But in a way that we want to improve.
Exactly.
So, all right, super exciting. You just reach your 1,000 subscribers mark. You are applying for getting the ads and getting, the money. Did the money start getting immediately? Did you start making some income?
I mean, we directly, the first day when we saw that we can apply, we directly applied. Yeah. We were quite excited about that one. But then, I mean, we also have to say, as Anjali also described, we took the first video to kind of get to the subscribers, and the views, they were kind of like, they peaked out already. So it was slowing down the views, and the videos which we were producing afterwards, they didn't get that much of attraction.
So how much money were you making per month or per week?
So I think the first month we did, the first month when we were in the partner program, we did 30 euros.
30 euros,
yeah.
Which is already, of course, a good amount for, the beginning, but it's also, of course, not paying the bills, right? So do you also start thinking, oh my God, like we are only making 30 euros, we are not going to survive? Or this didn't come to your head?
I mean, the expectation from the beginning was clear that for building up a YouTube channel, you need 1 to 2 years at least. We were quite clear on that. So we were not expecting big money out of it. But for sure, this was a struggle for us in the beginning, that even though we saved money and we said we have a runway for 1.5 years, we quite early got into the pressure that we have to earn.
Yeah.
And this was somewhere in the back of the head. But when we started YouTube, we were actually not planning to do vlogs. We wanted to do actually different kinds of videos because we were actually wanted to document this journey. How do we reach this catamaran? And somewhere on the way, documenting, doing a hike was not that fulfilling. We actually wanted to give more value in through our videos of, how can you achieve? It could be by making money by selling drinks, or it could be by, I don't know, doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is where maybe this disappointment part came when we were putting these videos out. And when it was not getting traction, we also started to kind of question.
Actually, we also have to say that we still have the passion for YouTube, and we are also currently working on some different concepts. So what we realized in the beginning, and I think this aspect, what you said, or also Hendrik in your other podcast about the passion, is super important, because what we actually did in the beginning is we had a lot of passion, And then we analyzed also what things could work. And I think you always have to be a bit careful in which direction you then drift, because in the first 2-3 months, you drifted a bit in the direction of, okay, these things work or could work. And talking about van life and all of that. But you also have to at some point come back to your passion. And we realized that we want to do videos, but a bit different kind of style videos.
Gotcha. So you're not passionate about the vlog, but you're passionate about still YouTube. So if there's any of your YouTube subscribers listen to this, be aware that there's more coming and exciting things.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me a little bit then about Instagram. So did it started also from the beginning? How did it grow?
The growth there, I think in the beginning was quite, let's say, good. But at some point we also slowed down, because coming back to this part of passion, we did not find it fulfilling to post every day a video and picture just for the sake of posting a picture that you post every day. And because when you're writing a caption and you're forcing yourself into it, it just didn't feel right. So this is where we also slowed down on Instagram, to be frank, and we said, okay, we only post when we actually have something to share and we don't have to feel the pressure. And that's when we also saw that Instagram slowed down. So right now we have around 1,500 followers and we are making content. But that's not something that we actively want to grow as a channel of income.
Right.
So Instagram is actually our community where we are also quite honest and sharing also our way, a bit more personal, where we are, what we are doing. And we also at some point shared more insights about how we feel or what projects we want to work on. So we kind of wanted to keep Instagram more like this and didn't want to grow it now like just for the sake of it.
Yeah. Makes sense. And I guess then we got to talk about the other platform, which is TikTok, that I know that you also got a viral video there. And to be honest, I'm not a user of TikTok, so I'm quite a noob there. But can you describe a little bit how do you use TikTok and a little bit more about this viral video that you got?
So TikTok is basically just short videos. So what's Reels on Instagram is actually TikTok. And I think now they're even introducing longer videos. But how we started TikTok was we wanted to go from one beach to another. On the way, we just parked the van on the side, which was not even a parking, and we made a video. And we don't know why yet, but it just went viral. I think there was a quite steep valley right at the back door, and people thought that this is like a room which is placed on a hill, and the window, there's no window, so you could even fall. And this emotion which was triggered in people, oh my God, why is this girl sitting at the edge of this bed and a window which doesn't have a glass? And the comments that we saw were more like, oh, I would just fall off from here. Oh, I would never sit there. And it's funny because we posted it as like, look, it's such a nice view from the van. But the emotion that people got was, oh, wow, I would not do that. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And that video, I think, got now so it has like 1.2 million views.
Wow. That's absurd.
So that was the viral video. And then we started to see, okay, let's explore TikTok. Although I just want to say that the TikTok Creator Fund doesn't pay so much, because as you know, in YouTube, before every video you show an ad, but on TikTok, they just have ads in the middle. So it's not like before every video they show an ad, so you would get a lot of money. Until now, I think we have around 2 million views in total, but we only paid 11 euros. So for money making wise, there are more opportunities in brand collaborations, not just by posting videos.
I love how spontaneous you are, and to be honest, how chill you are with all of this, because I would be also a bit freaking out, like not knowing what to follow. So currently we already explored YouTube, we explored Instagram, we explored TikTok. Is there any other way that you're trying to make money with?
So there is, so currently what Anjali also said already, for some years we were also looking a bit into trading, and we always had this crazy idea of like, hey, my God, why can we not just automate it? So we also said that we wanted to experiment a bit with that, so making a trading bot programming. And also going a bit in the direction of machine learning. So we also wanted to use this time to learn some things where we never had really the time to deep in. For example, machine learning always fascinated me, but we never had the time to say like, yeah, let's really spend time to work on something. So past couple of months, we're also building a trading board, which machine learning tries to improve, like finding buy signals and trying to analyze data and finding some patterns. And that's what we're also currently exploring actually quite a lot.
And did you already try to make money with it, or is still in the development phase?
Absolutely. But right now it's really on experiment phase. So we are not putting money. We just put 30 euros and we make 25 cents or something like this. So right now it's just seeing how much can you lose, because worst case 30.
And so at the moment you're still living out of your savings, right? So you're not able to live out of your project, or are you?
No, not at all.
And doesn't this scare you?
Yeah. So sometimes it really haunts you a bit, but right now we're quite relaxed, and we learned in a couple of months, we also reflected a lot about it, and that we really get rid of this pressure. And right now we are in a state where we feel actually quite relaxed about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you also realize that you're not productive anymore. If you are constantly thinking about how can you make money, you drift away from your passion and you start getting back into the whole of, okay, let's just do things for the sake of doing them. And we realized that wasn't productive, wasn't fulfilling. So why do it?
And you're living the life, right? Like you're living the life that you dreamed of, right? So that's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about this life. How is it? Like, how do you meet people? I guess you meet also other van life people?
Yeah.
People that live in vans?
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
So generally about this lifestyle, I mean, we have our home, so we can park anywhere. Sometimes we're in the city, sometimes we're at the beach, which is a very different feeling that once you enter this, let's say, this box, you feel so safe, even though you are in the middle of chaos in a city. And then there's a app called Park for Night where we look for parking spots.
Yeah.
And every van lifer is doing the same. So you end up going to a spot where you would find people. So that makes it actually quite easy to just go to a spot where people had good recommendations. So others are also there. And then, somehow conversations start. And that's how we met people until now.
Do you feel unsafe sometimes being in your van in the middle of nowhere?
I mean, that was also one of our main concerns before we started. The question of, will you feel safe just sleeping somewhere out of the city, and maybe a city which you don't know? But we have to say that we felt quite good and quite safe. I mean, especially the first 3 months when we were on Tenerife was also really amazing. Then we spent some time driving the Spanish coast. And I mean, then you find on the way some sketchy areas, where you think like, oh God, okay, here we do not feel safe. And actually you expected that will be a good spot. So sometimes you're ending up of saying like, yeah, let's just move on. But actually there was never something where you had real problems or something. It's actually very safe. And we also really feel safe.
What characteristics must someone have to live this lifestyle that you're living? What is absolutely things that you must have to live it?
On the way, you have challenges, sometimes also, I mean, on pictures and when you see all these van lifers and all, you really think like, oh my God, that's a great life. And it is a great lifestyle, but you don't see a lot of sides of it, where you maybe struggle to find parking or you have to fill up water and all of that. There's a lot of work around that. And if you rather like stability and not so being so active every day, then that might be not the right thing for you. There are also challenges. For example, we currently do not have an AC in our van.
Right.
Sometimes get warm. You have to find maybe a parking under the trees, and then maybe you first don't find something good, and then it sucks a bit. Like you have to be open for that.
Do you think that people that are open and that probably would love this life, they don't do it because they are afraid?
It's somehow pushing you out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that people don't like usually.
The biggest challenge is actually to get out of your comfort zone. And I also think that a lot of people are not pursuing their dreams because you have kind of your environment. Yeah, maybe you don't like your job or whatever, but still it gives you some kind of comfort or stability. And to break out of this framework, I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And we also, I mean, we were a bit naive. When we said we will do it, we were just excited. But when the day came closer, we had actually also quite a lot of challenges to overcome and see like, how do we set things up. And then suddenly the Corona pandemic, that was all not planned. And, and then you're starting on this day and you don't know what comes actually, and maybe also in the beginning, everything is a bit different than what you expect. And I think this whole unknown, I think is the biggest challenge to overcome.
And do you have the fear of failure? Like the fear of running out of money and having to go back to Germany to your jobs and people coming to you and say, I told you so. Is this something that comes to your mind?
I don't think so, because as we also said in the beginning that we strongly believe that there are so many opportunities out there and we discuss them. I mean, Etsy store, Amazon dropshipping, there are so many things where you see it's possible to make money that the fear of not being able to do anything, I think, never comes.
Same with you, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, we had some moments where you are actually struggling with this thought, but right now, no. I mean, right now, it's really, I also agree that, the problem is that you can always let this thought of fear come into your mind and think like, oh God, what if we don't find something and all. But I think the most important thing is that you focus on opportunities and that you're just going and trying. And that's where we are right now. And we feel quite good in it, enjoy it. And to be honest, what we also learned on the way is like, I think there is never this problem in the end. Oh shit, it didn't work out. Now we have to go back or something. I think there will be something. Even we also said, hey, you can go in the harbor and you can say that you want to work on helping with boats and all. You can also say, okay, let's freelance 1-2 days in a week.
Yeah,
something.
But how do you manage? Because like I feel for me that this is not well accepted by society and family and so on.
Yeah.
That you're a developer, you're a steady job, and now you're like working in harbor and just to make money for a month. How do you live with this society pressure?
I think we just decoupled ourselves from this thought, also from these influences. Because I mean, if you talk with people and they have this kind of mindset, I just try to not take it so seriously. And I really believe that, this is kind of a societal construct which is there, this pressure, but we just try to decouple ourselves from that. No?
For me, maybe I don't think about it anymore because I had a really hard time in the beginning when I left India. So I also have to say, I can say that I actually ran away from India and I wanted to come here because I just couldn't relate to the lifestyle there.
Right.
And I think that kind of really helped me to not think about it. And as Michael said, I mean, now, especially because that's the good part, that we both think so similarly. And thank meeting all the people on the way, they also think actually very similarly.
Yeah.
This couple one of them is making tattoos from the van. The other one is doing yoga sessions just online. All these people, they're also not doing the conventional 9-to-5 jobs. So it's also good to be
happy.
And you see that they are enjoying really, So that also gives you a bit motivation to not get back into this mindset.
Yeah, you talk with a lot of people, especially who maybe have these doubts of, hey, why do you leave your safe jobs? And then talk to them, and you feel like, wow, they are not happy. It sounds actually boring, and they are unhappy with their job. Maybe more complaining. Yeah. And then we make just our decision. I mean, I would rather work in a harbor and have still this life where I really enjoy it than having this, stable income job and being not that happy anymore,
Makes sense.
So I think one tip would be to surround yourself with people who have the same mindset. You can get challenged by other people just so that you grow as a person, but maybe be surrounded by people who encourage you.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I think here you're aligning your source of income with your ideal lifestyle, right?
Yep.
And I spoke also with my previous interview with Michael and Chloe. They also have a travel blog, and they found a way to align traveling and their source of income. And that's also what you're trying to do. And now that I think about it, a lot of my interviews, a lot of people think the same. And I think that's what you're doing, and I think that's admirable. And what I'm trying to do is, align your passion with your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself doing this in the next 10 years? Like, if you think on your future, do you see yourself living in a van or living in a boat, or do you see yourself living in a flat?
So we clearly see us on the catamaran, right?
Definitely. Like every day. And the good part is we are always close to the coast, and you always see that goal in front of you in the ocean, and you're like, okay, you can never forget about it.
We currently do not have the urge at all to go back to 9 to 5.
No.
We rather would like to explore more the opportunities to set something up. And I think also what we also clearly accept to ourselves is that we have actually no idea what, for example, next year would be. You never know what kind of opportunity you realize or what kind of passion you also find on the way. You see, and we strongly just believe in it that
we will find a way.
On the way you will find some which will guide you there.
And guys, really thank you so much for sharing this adventure. I think here the wannabe entrepreneurs will follow your journey. Myself, I'm super excited to see how the next year and 2 years go, and I'm super excited to visit you in your catamaran. And maybe as a last question, if there's someone thinking on following the same steps as you at the moment, they're thinking, maybe I should quit my job, maybe I should get in my van and drive, what would be your one advice to them?
The first thing is sometimes no plan is a better plan. So I'm not talking about that you don't care about financial security or you don't plan the really necessary things, but we realize that the most amazing memories that we have also from when we traveled before, just on the weekends and all, was when we didn't plan and we just spontaneously did something.
Yeah. And maybe one aspect, if I also can add, so if someone thinks about doing something similar, or I think as a ground rule, breaking out of your comfort zone always gets you to something better, I would say.
Right.
So I would just say, like, whenever it also feels uncomfortable, I think it can be a really good opportunity for yourself also to grow.
Yeah, great tip. I will be sharing your social media, your YouTube channel in the description of this episode.
Thank you so much.
And it was a pleasure, Michael and Anjali, to speak with you. Thank you so much for being part of the Wannabe Entrepreneur crew.
Thank you so much for having us. It was really fun talking with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's a really great podcast. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Michael and Anjali will be hanging out with us in the Wannabe Entrepreneur Slack channel. So if you're a member of this podcast, you can come and join us there. And if you want to support the podcast and become a member, the link will be in the description of this episode. Besides that, there's many other episodes that you probably like. I will also leave some recommendations in the description. Episode 68 might interest you. It's with Michael and Chloe. They have a travel blog and a fascinating story. So yeah, I highly recommend for you to check it out. And of course, if you have friends that you think might enjoy this content, please share the episode with them. That would mean the world to me. And this was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you tomorrow.